Good morning, everyone. Okay, we're going to pick up where we left off before break, so a couple of weeks ago. And I believe that we may have done the first two of four gathering exercises, the ones that we do all the time anyway. We're going to repeat those two, and then we're going to do two more, one of which we do all the time, and the other we don't. But they're actually very close cousins of each other, so it'll be kind of interesting to do them and talk about them just a little bit. But let's start with gathering Yang Qi from heaven and Yin Qi from earth. So I'm sure you guys have all carefully considered the structure of a carrot. A carrot has two parts, right? It has, next time you go to the grocery store, get yourself a big fat carrot. And when you come home, cut the two tips off and take a look at the structure of the carrot itself. It has a core, and then it has an outer rim, which is usually even fatter than the core. And if you take the carrot and roll it on your cutting board with quite a bit of pressure, those two will separate. And you can just pull the core right out of the carrot itself, right? It's not good or bad, it's just two parts. When you do this exercise that we just did, something you can play with is your own core and your own rim, right? The rim is on the outside of the body, right? So the outer surfaces of the body, including the back. The core is on the inside and shows up more on the front of the body and the inside of the arms and legs. And you can feel the two because the outer rim is much tougher, all right? The inner core is much softer. When you gather yang qi from heaven and pull it down into the outer rim. All right, so it's going to come down and fill up your body from the outside inward. Then when you gather yin qi from earth, pull it up through the center, through the core, and let it fill your body from the core outward. All right, is that clear? Jill, is that clear? Okay. And relax. So that practice you do not have to do every time, but you can do it every time. So heaven is yang, right? Earth is yin. Anytime you're gathering qi from heaven, you can gather to the outer rim. When you're gathering yin from earth, you can bring it up through the core. There are other ways to structure what you're doing, but that's one way, and it's a good way. Okay, I want to go ahead with the two new routines, one old new and one new. But I want to at least touch bases with the next move. So we're going to do a very short version of this. All right. All right. Yang Qi from heaven. So we're gathering Yang Qi from heaven. Let it run down through the body, through the outer part of the bodies, and then move inward toward the core. All right? The middle position is always a mixture of yin and yang. All right? So just let it fill the body, both from the outside in and the inside out. And then gathering yin qi from earth, bring it up into the core of the body, right, into the dantian, and then let it spread outward through every cell in the body. And relax. When you do the Taiji Qigong, so in between each set of moves, we do 3 circles. So you're gathering Yang Qi from heaven. So take it from the outside of the body into the inside, into the dantian. And then let it radiate from the dantian back out. All right, so you're kind of doing both at once. All right, and radiate outward. So you concentrate inward and then radiate outward. Okay. Now, these 2 gathering exercises, one of which we've done all the time. So we'll do that one first, and again, we'll probably do a fairly short version of it. And then we'll do the second one. Some of you may have done this with me before, but this is the one I really wanted to get to today. They're essentially the same thing, or you could say they're close cousins of each other's. In China, there are literally thousands of different Qigong routines. And many of them are very, very similar to each other because they all began, some of them, for instance, just pick one. This one maybe began 80 years ago. This one over here began 400 years ago. This one over here has roots that go back 4,000 years. And during that time, they've mutated and changed and evolved and grown into many different variations on the same theme. And the Chinese phrase is, "They're all good." Right? They're all good, and they can be mixed up. And sometimes you're doing one routine, and you bring in an exercise from another routine. They're all so closely related, and they all work on exactly the same energy body anatomy, the same mental attitude, and the same body mechanics, etc., etc. So here's the one we have been doing. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. This we do this move all the time. Master Zhang did it all the time in this routine. This move doesn't actually belong to this routine. This is a move from a different routine that has gotten brought into this one, but it's very close to a cousin that actually does belong to this routine. Why we ended up doing this one, I don't know. I think Master Zhang just liked it. But what I want to do here, we've only got about 15 minutes left, but I want you guys to tell me what you're doing during this routine, this particular move, rather. What are you grabbing? Jill, what are you grabbing?
Yang energy.
Yang energy from heaven, right? Bringing it into the body. Where in the body?
The Dantian.
Yes, always the Dantian, but in light of what we were talking about just a few minutes ago,
the rim.
The more toward the rim. So you can think of bringing it in to the skin, and then it soaks in. All right. So you're gathering yang qi from heaven, bringing it into the outside of the body. Now what are you doing? What happens during that movement? Watch again. Watch my breathing. When you're bringing the energy in, you breathe in. And when you breathe in, you contract the abdomen. You contract the thoracic diaphragm goes down a little bit. The pelvic diaphragm comes up a little bit. You contract. It's very small. It's very natural, all right? But you contract, and then when you breathe out, you relax, and they go back to where they started. Breathe in, contract. Breathe out, relax. Is that plain? Jill, is that clear?
Yes.
This particular move, it's very easy to see and feel what the rhythm is, breathing and the actual movement. And the breathing is the big part of this. I mean, without the breath work, it's okay, but it's not as strong. All right. Gather chi, breathe it in, and exhale. Now, what happens energetically when you're exhaling? What happens when you're inhaling? What happens when you're exhaling? When you're inhaling, you're bringing chi in and you're bringing it into the outer surfaces of the body, and then it's going to penetrate into the dantian. Then when you breathe out, again, it's concentrated. First, it's concentrated in the center, and then it relaxes and it radiates outward from the center to every cell in the body and feeds every cell. So every repetition of this is taking a big bite of chi from the universe and eating it, right? You're going to eat it. Now, what's this? What's that circle about?
Moving the energy around,
Yes, and doing what?
mixing.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You're always having to mix energy because you need to mix. You've brought new energy into the body. You need to mix it with the energy that's already in there. Also, you may be bringing yang chi from heaven, yin chi from earth. You need to mix those two together. Okay, let's go on to the next move. This next move is the actual move you quote unquote should be doing. It's the truth is they're both fine, and they're variations on a theme. But this is the move that Master Feng does. Okay, same. Yes, Jill.
Just a quick question. So one of the things that I was envisioning, so when we go and we're pulling in and we're breathing in, is that we're pulling up into the Tanjong, right?
You go ahead.
And so we're open. So it's like what I'm visualizing is that it's like a mouth, is your mouth is open and you're pulling and then it closes and you're kind of like I don't know if that's
You're hungry for
okay.
chi, right? So
Yes.
that's the new EPS that we're dropping from our band, right? Is hungry for chi. Gather. This exercise that we were just doing is from a different routine, a parallel routine called Big Strength Qigong. Big Strength Qigong is meant to be done in the winter. So you're practicing outside. It's winter. There's snow around everywhere, right? So you need to warm your body up and get warm and stay warm during the practice. So big strength qigong. Is very active, right? Now, the one we're going to finish with here today is the summertime variation on that. It's much softer, right? But it's still pretty vigorous. So the footwork is the same. In fact, it's even a little bigger. Right? Now, when Master Feng does this, he really does it. Right? So it's still quite a vigorous exercise. side, right? And he really stretches out. And sometimes then the opposite way. Or the other side. So hopefully you can guess what you're doing with each of the two variations, right? You're basically doing the same thing, but one, you're gathering yang qi from heaven. The second one, you're gathering yin qi from earth. Right? Dig into the earth. So when you're gathering yang qi from heaven, of course, you bring it into the outer part of the body, and then it moves in toward the danqian, and then radiates back out. Yang qi from heaven, bring it into the outer part of the body. It concentrates in toward the center and then radiates out. In China, they call it cooking. You're going to cook it. Gather it in to the fire and let it cook for a moment. And when it cooks, it radiates outward. All right? When it cooks, the steam that it makes is the qi. Opposite, gather yin qi from earth. Bring it into the core of the body, so right into the third eye and right through the core of the body to the danqian. And again, then it radiates outward. To the danqian, it cooks and radiates outward. So, do you all know what the phrase "the 100 days" means in Qigong practice? The 100 days means, this is for you guys especially, you retain your semen for 100 days. No orgasms. All right? That's part of a process called the triple burner. A burner in China is one of those little sidewalk grills that they grill meat on. All right? When I was in China, we went to a Mongolian restaurant, and they had a little tiny grill out on the sidewalk. That's where they grilled their meat. All right? So where are the grills? Well, they're inside you. Your danchen is one of the grills. So the process is you take what's called the Jing energy, Jing, and you cook that by retaining. Jing is your basic biological energy, especially sperm and eggs. Not only that, but including that. So rather than them always going out of the body, you retain them and quote unquote cook them. When you cook them, they turn into qi, which is the energy of motion and of thought. All right? And then you retain the qi and you cook that, and it turns into something called shun, S-H-E-N, which we would translate as spirit. So you're going from biological level to the level of qi, of motion and thought, and then finally to the level of the spirit. It's not that any of the levels are better or worse than anything else. It's just a matter of becoming familiar with all three levels. And each the lowest level is the most physical level. So it's heaviest and it's most physical. Qi is kind of quasi-physical. It's partly physical and partly beyond physical. The shun energy is beyond physical. So you become aware of each of those, and what happens in our cultures is life tends to want to keep you at the physical level. So you get married, you have children, you have to support a household, you have to get a job, you have to do this, you do that. It's all at the physical level. It's not good or bad, it's just where it is. But at least in part, you also want to be practicing at the qi level, which is what these classes are about. And then beyond that is the spiritual level. And what you want is a nice balance between all of them. And sometimes you have to work for those higher levels because life tends to sacrifice the higher levels for the lower levels. You can't live if you don't have food and oxygen. That's the lowest level. But the truth is, you've got to have those. All right? So level by level by level. When you're practicing Qigong, you're giving yourself some time and focus to practice those two higher levels. But you got to know what it is you're doing, because it's a mental game, you might say. All right. Let's finish by mixing, because we just gathered a lot of qi. We need to mix them. And reverse. And touch the earth. And close your pores. Salute our masters and salute your classmates. Thank you, everyone. If you're going to stay for beginning Tai Chi, give me 10 minutes. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Ciao.